Saturday at 6 a.m. At Creative Planning, we offer full-service, comprehensive wealth management services through our in-house team of wealth managers, accountants, and attorneys to integrate all aspects of your financial life. Don't settle for a standard portfolio or a set-it-and-forget-it plan. Get all the expertise, all the advice you need, all in-house. Visit creativeplanning.com. That's creativeplanning.com.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
Yeah, welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this finally Friday. It is January 5th, 1:05 on the slippery, foggy, gray, dreary, wet. Bridgette, any other words you can throw in the sink here that we can describe today as?
Well, I think you've nailed them all. I'm just sorry that sunny is missing from that description.
Unfortunately, for the next few days, sunny will not be a word that we'll be saying outside of wishing we could have a little more sunny skies. It's going to be a cloudy next couple of days. Yes, indeed it will. Today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Probably Thursday.
I was sort of hoping things would come right along in a little bit better time frame. So here we are.
Nope, not anytime soon do I foresee full blown sunshine. At least until we maybe dump some Arctic air into the area, then we can get some cold blue skies. How about that?
You're not really turning my crank, but tell me more.
Well, let's hold off on the forecast for a moment. If you got any questions, concerns about the weather, the forecast, maybe you want to call in with some road reports to know that there are some slick spots out there and we're seeing improving conditions, but you can always join us on Weather and Ag in Focus by calling us on the Red Wing Shoes phone line. That's 701-293-9000, or you can reach us via email at weatherorag@flagfamily.com. Also, live streams are back up today, and I believe that they're running just fine. Let's take a look. Looks like they're running smoothly. So thanks for those that are joining us over there. You can comment in the comment boxes on Facebook and YouTube today.
And I hope that folks do, because we always like to hear what's going on. The more comments, the better. That's awesome. And realistically, we want to hear those road reports, because Justin and I both realized that it was a bad idea for us to be on the road a whole lot today. So whatever you guys are seeing out there would help the rest of us out, please. We'd appreciate that very much.
Yeah, and we're seeing improving conditions immediately within the valley. I-29 from the South Dakota border to the North Dakota border is just fine, with an exception for the far southern valley. There's a couple stretches, say south of Hankinson, and then between, Wahpeton to Christine, still reporting some scattered ice on the roads. Otherwise, I-29 is looking fine. I-94 looks good, except for around the Valley City area. It'd be Valley City to, I suppose that would be just shy of Buffalo on the west side of Castleton. So they were seeing improving conditions, but those not as heavily traveled highways, byways, side streets, neighborhoods, still quite icy out there. But at least here in Fargo, we've broken above the freezing mark, so we'll start to melt off some of that ice on the ground, and I'll run down the forecast coming up here in just a moment.
Well,
we got coming up on the program.
Well, because of that ice today, there was a fun new game played as I watched out my window, and that is, how far can that FedEx truck slide? Because the gravel street in front of me is all iced over, and from what came this morning, I watched the poor truck go all the way past the driveway and try to back up and just about miss the driveway. And then there's a slight slope to the concrete pad. And when he parked, the truck slid back down the driveway. So it's been a bit of a challenge. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't do more for that road right now, but sunshine, sir. I'm looking forward to sunshine when it comes.
Yes, and not a whole lot of it in the forecast. We'll be dealing with temperatures today, a few degrees either side of freezing for us here in the Southern Valley around Fargo, Northern Valley, upper 20s, southeast winds around 5 to 15. There is still pockets of that wintry mix out there, along with visibility under a mile in the area due to that fog. That's going to stick around throughout this afternoon, unfortunately, and probably into this evening, if not early tonight. That wintry mix is going to start turning over to light snow as we head towards this evening as well, and kind of pick up into the overnight hours as temperatures drop well below freezing to the lower 20s. We'll have wind going light this evening and then switching out of the northwest around 10 to 20. So, with a little bit of light, moderate snow at times in areas, mainly in Minnesota, there will be some spots where visibility is reduced to maybe around a mile or maybe a little less. We're going to see that light snow continuing Saturday morning. It will be breezy. Southeast winds, northwest winds on Saturday, 10 to 25 miles per hour. The snow will wind down by the afternoon. A few flurries here or there throughout the day, with around 1 to 3 inches of accumulation here in the FM area. And I'm kind of leaning a little bit on the lower end just because I have this feeling that rain, mist, whatever you want to call it, the freezing fog, won't fully turn over to snow until later than what models are anticipated. So right now, models are pretty consistent at 2 inches. It's going to be 1 to 3 for most of us within the valley. I just think here in Fargo, we'll probably be closer to that inch mark. But, if it switches over early enough tonight, we could be poking around 2-3 inches of snow. I just think we'll be on the lower end. Heaviest hit areas will be over in Minnesota, say Fergus Falls to the Brainerd Lakes areas, point northward, especially Detroit Lakes over towards Brainerd and north. We'll be in a 2 to 4 inch range and some localized areas upwards of 5 throughout north central Minnesota. So it's going to kind of be northern lakes country and north central Minnesota where the real accumulating snow is going to be. Everywhere else is 1 to 3 within the valley and a dusting up to an inch as you head into central North Dakota. Little drifting snow Saturday afternoon as well because of those breezy conditions. And then the rest of the week, not too bad. Upper teens on Sunday, low 20s on Monday, low 20s on Tuesday. All 3 days, the wind looks light, mainly cloudy, maybe a few breaks of sun here or there around the region. And then we start to get into more exciting weather, especially if you are, say, maybe looking for more ice to develop on the lakes out there. I got good ice making weather temperatures in the forecast, Bridgette. And, you got some plans on some lakes here in February, don't you?
I do, and one in particular, and that'll be on February 7th. Agronomy on Ice will be up at Devil's Lake. We are indeed waiting to make sure that our ice gets thicker because right now the area in which we generally host that looks a little bit on the light side, that 3 to 4 inch range. And personally speaking, that might be fine for me to walk on, but I know that folks who want to bring ice houses, we're not there yet. So we definitely need to see those colder temperatures, and I'm okay with that coming along. I appreciate your efforts here, Justin, to bring in the Arctic air whenever you can.
Yeah, so Wednesday we'll be watching for a clipper system to track into the area. That brings a chance for some light snow along with breezier conditions Wednesday night into Thursday. That will actually tap into some of the Arctic air to our north up in Canada. And it's a pretty good little air mass up there. We're just missing the snowpack to get really extremely cold down here, but we'll see our fair share of it. We'll drop down to single digits on Thursday, and then Friday there's a possibility, from what it looks like right now, and of course this will likely change, it appears that we will not be breaking above zero for a high temperature next Friday. Now, I have my suspicions that we will be able to warm into the single digits, but we'll keep an eye on that. There's a bigger storm after that the following weekend. Bridgette, you doing some traveling plans next, Sunday?
Maybe not anymore. Why? What do you got?
Are you really traveling next Sunday, Monday?
Well, I was considering it. So what are you going to tell me that's going to either... what's going to inflict pain on the area in which I'm going, or what's going to make me stay home? What do you think?
Well, it's another one of our LRC calendar dates. Would be that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday time frame. Just looking at a quick calendar here, that would be the 14th, 15th, 16th. And right now, long range models picking up on another good storm system either going northern central plains. Right now it's going just south of us, bringing us a chance for some measurable snow, but of course that's something that's 14 days away. That's way too far out to get any good handle using those long range computer models, but they are picking up on a storm system right around those dates in our area, so it's something we'll keep an eye on, and it does fall in line with our LRC predictions, of which I have so many notes right here that you can't see. I'm getting those calendars done, but with the unexpected last couple of days of Dean being sick, it's slowed me down a little bit on getting those calendars all wrapped up. So they're being worked on still.
Well,
I promise they'll be up soon.
that will be coming because I do know that I have some special travel dates coming up in March as well that I'll be curious about, and many people do. So whatever we can do to keep people abreast of the changing situations, what the calendar is going to bring. And I like the fact that as it gets closer, you sort of tighten it up and say, oh, it might go a little bit further south of us. That's okay. I mean, let's face it, it only storms in Summit, South Dakota every other day. So maybe I can pick the right time to have to pass through there.
I like the way you mentioned that, every other day. Man, I wish we could get some actual snow here. I ran back while I was looking through some of our LRC data since October, and I was just adding up the snow since November 1st to today. 3.6 inches of snow over those 60 days of winter.
First of all, it doesn't seem like a lot that we've had. That actually sounds to me like more than what I was anticipating the number to be. So interesting enough. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're about a foot of snow behind what we should have this time of year, just based on your climatological averages over the last 30 years.
That's probably very true. Yes.
It is. Well, let's see. What do we got coming up on the show today? We got a few ag topics we'll get to in the last segment of our show. As always, kind of burnt up this one with weather talk, but North Dakota Livestock Summit, we'll be talking about that in our last segment. Doctors on Video Save Rural Lives, and also an ag program with Hugo's and Retailers of the Year. Wow. So we'll be touching on those
even better.
three.
Let's make a quick mention of Hugo's, because you do live in the Grand Forks area, and Hugo's as a grocery chain has been they've just been recognized by the Minnesota Grocers Association for the People's Choice in the northwest part of the state of Minnesota for doing an excellent job of promoting Minnesota locally grown foods. And so thank you to Hugo's for doing that. It's not just fresh fruits and vegetables, it's all Minnesota grown products that get special highlights at Hugo's. And they are now being recognized for that good work, not only by Minnesota Grocers Association, but a big thank you from Minnesota Department of Agriculture and the producers of that state. Greatly appreciate the work they do.
Right on. That is super cool. And our guest that'll be joining us here in a few moments, about 3 or 4 moments, I believe. That's going to be Amanda. Is it Radke? Is that how we pronounce her last name?
Radke.
Yep,
This is Amanda Radke. She is coming to us from South Dakota. And if you recall, we talked a little bit about a book that her daughter wrote not that long ago. And it was about Scarlett and her bucket calf, Lucky. And I had questions from folks saying, hold on, what's a bucket calf? So that's probably our first question for Amanda. And then how a 9-year-old gets to her start in publishing by writing a book. So kind of look forward to doing that. And, when you have a new kid at your house, he's a year now, but that new little guy, maybe he needs a copy of this book down the road as well. So we'll figure out how we can get that for Sterling while we're at it, Justin.
I think that would
don't
be
go
great.
anywhere. Well, y'all hang on. We'll be right back to talk with Amanda Radke from South Dakota.
Livestock market is mixed, but mostly lower. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Risfet with this market update. Live cattle futures continue to move moderately lower today as traders are still trying to find a market equilibrium following strong gains early in the week and only limited cash and beef value support through the last couple of weeks. Front month futures are posting less significant losses than late spring and summer contracts based on the underlying concern that the still moderate to strong supplies over the summer months could limit active price support through much of the year. Cash cattle markets are still quiet today. Bids of $273 per hundredweight are seen in the north as the softness in futures trade as limited packer offerings at the end of the week here. Asking prices remain at $174 and higher live basis in the south and $275 and higher in the north on a dressed basis. Box beef prices are higher. Choice up $198 and select up $29 with a movement of 63 loads. Now, feeders, they are once again leading the cattle market lower today. The pressure in nearby futures trade over the past 3 days has not totally eroded early week gains, but the week is ending on a much more of a neutral status than many had hoped and most had expected following the long holiday weekend. Wide variability in outside markets and shifts in grain prices are not only affecting technical buyer activity, but also market fundamentals and cost of production are taking a larger focus than seen over the past few weeks. Now, lean hog futures, they are continuing to move higher. The underlying buyer interest, which started to actively move into what was long been considered an oversold market, is still very evident, but buy orders do seem to be thinning at the end of the week here, allowing early gains to erode slightly. We'll get a look at the livestock numbers next. You're listening to the American Ag Network.
Every day, our brave military men and women, along with their families, make tremendous sacrifices for our freedom. Patriotic Hearts, a nonprofit organization, is dedicated to supporting these heroes and their families in their times of need. By donating your unwanted card to Patriotic Hearts, you'll be supporting job transition and job fair programs, veteran entrepreneurship, counseling, and retreats for combat veterans and their spouses. Call 800-560-3870. You'll receive a tax deduction, and we'll arrange a free pickup at your convenience. Imagine the difference you can make in the lives of those who have given so much for our country. Your car donation will directly impact military families, veterans, providing them with the support they desperately need. Call 800-560-3870. You can become a part of something bigger. Join us in our mission to uplift and honor our military community. Call 800-560-3870 to donate your unwanted card.
Look at the livestock numbers. Live cattle February down 67 at 170.45. April down 95 at 173.35. June down 102 at 170.52. And the August live cattle, they're down 85 at 171.05. Lean hogs February up 82 at 69.87. April up 112 at 76.07. And the May lean hogs, they're up 95 at 82.75. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Ristvet.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
And thank you for joining us on the Screaming Goat. Today it's made a replay, so we're glad to have the goat back, but even more glad Justin and I are welcome our guest Amanda Radke. And Amanda joins us from South Dakota, I believe near Mitchell, if I'm not mistaken. And Amanda, how are you today?
Very good. Thanks for having me on the show today.
All right, this will be a ton of fun because the whole impetus for this started when I read a story about your daughter writing a book. So tell us a little bit more about your family and your operation and how a 9-year-old says, I'm going to write a book today.
Yeah, well, my husband Tyler and I run Radke Land and Cattle, and you are correct, close to Mitchell, South Dakota, and we have 4 kids, ages 9, 7, 6, and 5, and I keep pretty busy on the road promoting agriculture at conferences and reading children's books that I've written since 2011 at schools and libraries, and so the kids often get to go along with me for the ride and get to go help promote agriculture in schools. And Scarlett was about 5 years old and she had told me, Mom, I want to write books like you. And I said, well, maybe you need to learn how to read and write first, but we'll circle back when you're ready to go. So she practiced, she was stick figure writing or drawing at that time and just learning to read. But fast forward to this past year, we had a bottle calf that was born premature in a snowbank during a South Dakota blizzard. He was born at about 30 pounds, so much too small to stay with his mom or live outside at all. So he found his way to the basement and got nursed, back to health, got stronger. And her grandpa, my dad, Dave, asked Scarlett, would you take care of Lucky? They named him Lucky because he lived, and so Lucky moved to our house, and that became the project of our 4 kids, is making these bottles and feeding this calf. And it's pretty basic farm kid stuff, but we started posting about Lucky on social media, and he became like a viral TikTok, Instagram sensation with millions of views. And I said, Scarlett, here's your story. And so she got to work writing the story of Lucky the bottle calf, and the rest is history.
Oh, that is
awesome.
Fantastic. So in one way, you've answered one of my questions. How involved are your kids with the operation? And it looks like eyeball deep or more.
Very involved. They take a really active interest in the breeding and the marketing of the bulls and all the things we do. And actually, one of the catalysts to bringing Lucky, the bottle calf story to fruition was I had told Scarlett, this bottle calf is not going to make it into our bull sale. He's kind of dinky and we might need to take him to the sale barn. And she had said, well, Mom, what if I write a book about him? Then he'll have to go on tour with me. And so she's a little entrepreneur. This dinky little calf, but Lucky has now been to the public library in town. He's been to an Egg in the Classroom event. He goes all over with the kids. And, even when we had a fall female sale this year, everybody knew and recognized Lucky and wanted to take selfies with this little calf. So it's been a lot of fun for the kids.
Okay, this is huge right here because you do a lot of ag advocacy work, but your kids are doing it too. And what's that connection like when you're out in public with the kids and with Lucky? And how do the kids handle being questioned a little bit about, okay, what do you do with him besides pet him?
Honestly, the kids are probably better at it than I am because they're just so honest and transparent. And it's a kid's perspective, dealing and answering these questions from a kid to kids. And so Scarlett's pretty honest and straightforward about the circle of life and how we raise cheeseburgers and steaks. And, sometimes there's that shock and awe factor. But at the end of the day, I think it's so important to show up and be transparent and authentic. And that's what the kids are. And for me as a mom, it's just a blessing to be able to take them along for the ride and also kind of get out of their way and let them shine. So I'm just ready to retire and be her cheerleader and chauffeur at this point.
I would imagine so. That kind of leads into it. I mean, watching your daughters and your kids kind of follow in mom's footprints and watching them grow into what they are now doing, even at a young age. What's that experience been like for you, and how proud are you of them?
I'm biased because I'm just proud of my kids. Scarlett goes on the road with me quite a bit. She introduces me on stage. She's got better jokes than I do when we're out in public. But it's a full circle moment. I think a part of being in production agriculture is it is a family affair. And so I had wonderful mentors growing up. I even thought about writing children's books because our veterinarian's wife had written children's book herself, and she had come into my kindergarten classroom and had kind of planted that seed. And I had thought, well, one day I would love to do that too. And so I really stand on the shoulders of great agriculturalists who have kind of led the way and forged the path. And so anytime I can work with not just my kids, but other kids and help them, maybe find their way in agriculture, it's very rewarding. But yeah, I'll probably be, they'll be the boss here pretty soon, and I'll just be just cheering them on. So it's a lot of fun.
So as the kids are talking with others and they're sharing, do they, besides Lucky and the stories, what other things are they sharing? Are they bringing along a lot of other show and tell type items that they can't wait to show off to fans who stop by to visit?
Well, it's been discussed if Lucky needs his own stamp that we could put his hoof in so he could sign the books, but I haven't quite figured out how to put that off yet. Like at the Egg in the Classroom events that we do, we bring the bottle for the bottle calf. We bring the milk replacer to show them how we make the bottle. We bring the different ingredients of the feed so that we can show them, this is what a cow's diet looks like. And then we play a fun game called Stump the Cowgirl. I probably need to get that trademarked. It'll be a board game soon, but they'll ask Scarlett all kinds of crazy and wild questions. And it's really fun to see her kind of take the role of answering those questions and seeing how much knowledge she's gained. And so, yeah, it's I think promoting agriculture in schools and with our young people is so incredibly important. I mean, right now we have Scholastic Magazine that sends out their publication to all the public schools across the country, and repeatedly and over again, they are telling elementary age kids that in order to save the planet and address climate change, they need to skip the cheeseburger. And so I think it's a really important and vital thing that we need in our schools, where farmers and ranchers bring in educational books that are accurate about agriculture and tell the other side of the story. And if we don't, we're going to have a generation of young people that grow up and are afraid to eat a steak because they feel like they're leading to the demise of the planet. And so the truth is on our side. And I always tell people, if they just get the chance to meet us in rural America and to connect with a farmer and rancher and see our heart and where our intentions lie, they will realize that the media is a lot more sensational and a lot more clickbaity, and there's a lot more lies that exist about us versus if they got the truth and the story straight from the tap.
Okay, this is such a perfect lead in,
Can't
Amanda,
agree
because it's
anymore.
oh, absolutely. And so we're at the bottom of the hour for news, but when we come back, I can't wait to talk about how Amanda brought up kids advocating for ag in the classroom, how we as adults can take that example and do better for what we're doing, and then all the work that Amanda does advocating for not just our kids and our industry, our farmers. There's so much more to come. So don't go anywhere. Justin, get your questions lined up. We'll be back right after this.
Wellness, resolutions, great financing, and no excuses. Hot Spring Spas and Pool Tables 2 is making your New Year's wellness resolution super easy with great financing options. Bring a sauna and a hot tub into your new year. Be better physically, mentally, and relationally. Your very own Finleo sauna or hot spring hot tub for as little as $50 per month. Or how about this? A sauna and a hot tub for under $99 a month. Make wellness your New Year's resolution with Hot Spring Spas and Pool Tables 2. West Fargo, Bismarck, Grand Forks.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Tucker. WDAY News First. Fargo City Commissioner John Strand says he's open to changing how special assessments are used in the city.
There's places that don't have specials at all. And then people say, well, why can't we get rid of specials? I'd love to hear how we could do that. My view is for the moment, we need to pull our belts in.
So spend less.
Spend less for the moment
okay.
until we have a cash flow that flushes out.
Yeah.
How can you justify spending more than your revenues are?
Strand says his biggest concern with specials is the skyrocketing costs of labor and building materials. Under specials, residents absorb those costs. Trygve Hammer appears ready to challenge Kelly Armstrong for Armstrong's U.S. House seat. The Republican Armstrong represents North Dakota's at-large congressional district. Hammer is running as a candidate for the Democratic NPL party. Hammer filed a statement of candidacy with the Federal Election Commission Tuesday. And law enforcement officers in Minnesota are beginning training to use roadside tests to determine if a driver is under the influence of marijuana. The training that starts today is part of a pilot program that was authorized by state lawmakers when marijuana was legalized in the state last year. Tom Tucker, WDAY, and WDAYRadioNow.com.
Hello, Fargo. This is John Adams, your host of Talk of the Town. My show is designed to highlight everything great about the city, the valley, and the country in which we live. I've had the great fortune of meeting, working, and living with wonderful people in the Fargo-Moorhead area, and I want to bring their stories to you. Human interest stories, sports, timely topics that affect all of us in the Red River Valley. Talk of the Town with John Adams. Tune in for positivity and fun.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. 1:33 on this afternoon. We're speaking with Amanda Radke, and she's an advocate as well as a children's book author, and so is her kid. Her children have been helping advocate for that in the schools. And if you want to join in our conversation, the program, ask some questions, give us a call on the Red Wing Shoes phone line, 701-293-9000. Before we went to break there, Amanda had said something that was a little unaware of. And I'm wondering if other people in our area are experiencing or hearing things kind of in the same situation. And Amanda, you had mentioned that Scholastica, the books in the schoolrooms, the book fairs that come into the schools, they sell their books, had mentioned kind of saying misinformation that, eating meat and ag is the demise of the planet and causing global warming and all of that. So I'm just wondering if people here in the Fargo area who have kids in elementary, middle school have seen anything similar to that of just misinformation when it comes to agriculture and how wrong it is. And that leads into my question, Amanda. How do you go about helping to educate people with that mindset or who have been given that information besides the truth behind agriculture?
So I believe it's important we understand and know what is being said about us. It is a fact. And I have people messaging me all the time that they'll find it in their children's textbooks. It's being presented in documentaries on Netflix. It's in college curriculum. It is from every stage of the game. Young people are being told as they grow up in their formative years that farmers and ranchers are the bad guys, that we're destroying the planet, and we're not taking care of our animals, and that we need to change our dietary habits to reflect that information. And so once we know and understand what is being said about us, the great thing is that we have the truth on our side, and we have a fantastic story if we're willing to go out and share the good news. And I often say all we have to do is release the truth, and it will fight for itself. It will do its job. But that means we have to get outside of our own pasture gates, and we have to go out and share our stories. And one of the easiest ways that we can do that is looking for agriculturally accurate books that will teach kids about who we are in agriculture. And so whether it's, our families, I have 8 books myself that folks can check out at amandaradke.com. But Farm Bureau has a great collection of accurate books about agriculture. We have National Ag in the Classroom that can provide you with a great set of books as well. I would encourage people to either do a classroom visit and read a book, invite people out to a farm tour to show them what you do, or simply consider donating books to have in the school library just to balance out the conversation a little bit and give kids resources with the true information about farming and ranching at their fingertips.
I completely agree. And there's been such this huge disconnect between urban and rural. And like you had said, a lot of that misinformation, Netflix documentaries, TV series, books in classrooms and college universities. And to a good point of it, most of it isn't accurate at all. To go out and say that those that are involved in agriculture or want to eat meat or drive a fossil fuel vehicle are the demise of the planet and you're the issue. And there's such a whole other side to it on the other side that we'll try to stick away from. But I just kudos for continuing to do what you do to fight for agriculture and spread the right information out there along with what your children are doing.
Well, thank you. And yeah, if only people could see what I see outside of my windows here on the range in South Dakota. I mean, beautiful cattle grazing on pasture lands. And I know it protects wildlife habitat. It protects the soil. It reduces erosion because you have that grass covering those hills. Cattle naturally fertilize the land with their manure. They upcycle. They provide us with the most nutrient-dense food on the planet, which is hamburgers and steaks, not to mention 100 plus byproducts as well. And so I think it's encouraging to know that we are an environmental stewardship success story. And so before we cave to agendas that seek to strip producers off the land and take meat, dairy, and eggs off the dinner table, I think we need to hold the line a little bit. And I think we need to share our story and do it more often and loud and proud and continue to repeat it over and over again until we're heard.
Amanda, you said books and stories, and a couple of things I want to make sure folks are aware of. One, we are going to make sure that Amanda's link to her website for amandaradke.com is on our Facebook page for Weather and Ag in Focus, because we want people to go to that site and see the books that you've written and make sure they're sharing them with their kids and grandkids. I mean, birthdays are coming. Let's not forget to give books, you guys. It doesn't all have to be plastic toys. And also, I want folks to know that you mentioned one of the books by American Farm Bureau, and that would be How Did That Get in My Lunchbox? Well, here's a promotion through WDAY. If you, as a sponsor or a parent, would like to buy those books to provide for a school classroom, we will help you do that. We've been running that promotion here this winter. You can call our station. We'll get you lined up with ordering the books, delivering them to the school, making sure you get in there to read them to the students, and getting some airtime advertisement in exchange for that. Because, Amanda, what you said is we can't tell this story enough. And I just love to hear you talk about how you share that with so many people.
And I think what really drives it home is there is that focus on the family values, and bringing your kids along is one of the most powerful things I could possibly do to share the story, because they're living proof that good things can happen on the land when families are on the land being the stewards and taking care of the animals. And so it is a family affair, and that's what makes agriculture great is our businesses are multi-generation and rich in tradition, and it's something rare and unique that you don't see many places across the country anymore, but it's alive and well here in the heartland in rural America.
Well, let's see, Amanda, you're raising kids, cows, awareness. What else are you doing? What am I missing?
Well, I've taken on a new gig as a consultant working in the seed stock Angus business. So we just got home from the Cattlemen's Congress working with some of our clients. I love it because to me, it allows me the opportunity to work directly with producers and help them be profitable in their businesses and get the fair market value for their hard work. And so that was a really exciting run. But yep, I do a lot of speaking. I did 52 events last year on the road. And so I'll be getting ready for a big run here pretty soon. So if anybody has an event coming up, they would like a keynote speaker or an entertainer to come and present, I would love to be considered. But probably last on my list right now is I really pay attention to some of the threats that exist that seek to make it harder for producers to stay on the land. And in fact, Scarlett is going to be coming with me to an event on Monday in Pierre, South Dakota. She'll have copies of Scarlett and Lucky as well, if anybody would like to meet us at the Rotunda at the state capitol there in Pierre at noon. But there's going to be a property rights rally at noon in Pierre on Monday. And so I would invite everyone to come and join us. And what we are doing is we are standing with landowners and private property rights in our state and in the region, frankly. And what we are saying is the Constitution demands that we protect the individual citizen and their pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, and being able to acquire and maintain private property. And so it's going to be a great showing of farmers, ranchers, citizens, and legislators. And we're going to have a robust conversation about the upcoming legislative session and what is ahead and what threats exist and how we can motivate and activate our elected officials to be aware of these issues and how they impact citizens here in South Dakota.
Boy, you said something a little bit earlier in regards to, and maybe Justin, actually might have been you who mentioned it, that we know that there can be some bias in the media. So when it comes to these types of discussions, where's our best place to go to educate, Amanda? If we want to be a viable part of the conversation, how do we find out the right information? Where would you direct people to really make a difference?
I would say if you're a consumer and want to know more about agriculture, go direct to a farmer or rancher and build that relationship and ask those questions. If you are a producer, if you're a farmer and rancher that's looking for the best way to get out there and make an impact, I always tell people you don't have to have millions of social media followers. You don't have to go viral on TikTok. We all have our own sphere of influence where we're involved in our communities, our schools, our church, the local county commissioners or the school board meetings, or any leadership position that you find yourself in is a great opportunity to talk about agriculture, build those relationships, and make an impact one person at a time. And that's where I think we really move the needle, is on focusing on not educating, but empowering and building those bridges and building those relationships with the people we aim to serve.
And going to things like you're hosting on Monday, the rally in Pierre, and asking real questions of people who are affected is likely a good spot as well.
Yes, I think there's going to be a lot of real honest conversations there. And, I'm referring to, of course, a proposed privately owned carbon pipeline that's coming through the state of South Dakota. There's been hundreds of lawsuits that have been slapped on individual private citizens in our state. And I can no longer ignore the problem because of the unbelievable amount of phone calls I've been getting from landowners in this state that are saying, please help us. What can we do to fight back? And they are being painted as anti-agriculture, anti-ethanol, anti-pipeline. But these people that I've met and gotten to visit with are none of those things. They love agriculture. They love the land. They love their families and their South Dakota communities. They've poured their blood, sweat, and tears into buying this land and paying the taxes on this land. And it's their little piece of the American dream that they want to protect and raise their families on. And so that's what I'm there doing, is lending my support. And I'm bringing my kids along for the ride so that they can see what it means to stand up for what is right, to stand up for the little guy when the little guy has no voice. There's no corporate interest here. There's no big dollars and big campaigns. These are just farmers and ranchers and good people in rural South Dakota that need their story told. And so that's what I'm going to show my kids, what it looks like at noon on Monday. And I hope other people will lock arms with me and join me in Pierre that day.
What about any other social speaking events? Do you have any of those around the area on the schedule coming up?
Oh man, actually, yes, I think I will be in North Dakota here. Where am I going to be? Watford City. What is the date? It's the end of January. So folks can go to my website, amandaradke.com. And if they go to the speaking tab, I do have my calendar events handy. And so I'll be in Watford City, let's see, the end of January. And then February 2nd, I will be in Flasher, North Dakota at 6 Mile Angus speaking at their production sales. So it's in the bar there in Flasher, open to the public. You don't even have to buy a bowl. Just come and see me, have a drink, and we'll talk a little bit. I'll have some books. So I'll be in North Dakota a few times up that way. So I'd love to see people on the road. And like I said, if they pay attention to my speaking schedule, I post my agenda well in advance so folks can see where I'm at. And I love to connect with people in this ag community we love on the Dusty Trail when I'm traveling.
Well, that's just awesome, Amanda. I really appreciate you taking some time to join us today. I got one more question for you. It's kind of a triple answer or a triple question to end this segment. But again, where can people go for your website to get information about your speaking events, the information on there? Where can people go for any social media platforms, whether YouTube, TikTok, or any of those good things?
Sure. So my website is amandaradke.com. I have a weekly blog called The Radke Report that comes out. And I also have a weekly podcast called The Heart of Rural America. I've got some great sponsors there that help to bring the show to fruition. Of course, I have lots of books and toys and clothing that folks can check out there. So thanks for the promo. I probably owe you guys a commission after this. But you can also find me on most social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, X, I guess, and also TikTok. So I'd love to connect with you on social media as well.
That's awesome. And I also had forgot to mention there about your daughter's book. Where can people find that if they want to pick that up or get it for a school classroom or something?
You bet. So that's on my website as well. And so if you go to the tab called Amanda's Books, I also have hers listed there too. So, and I do support other authors as well. So I have a wide collection of other authors that are in the agricultural industry that I think are doing a fantastic job of telling the story. And so I also offer their books on the site as well. So if they're not up to snuff, I don't carry them because I'm pretty picky about how we talk about agriculture. And so I have some great friends that are doing talented and amazing work in this path as well.
Well, that is awesome. Amanda Radke, thank you very much for joining us here on Weather and Ag in Focus. We hope you have a great rest of your day and keep on doing what you're doing out there.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for this opportunity, and hopefully we'll see you down the road very soon.
Oh, definitely. When we come back, we got another check on the forecast. We got a few ag topics to get to. And of course, if you want to join in on the program, 701-293-9000 is the Red Wing Shoes phone line. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's the Coffee Club with Janae and Ronnie.
The car's gone wild.
If you ask, I was going to say, if you end up asking to see somebody's camshaft, you're going to get smacked. So,
They don't do it on a hot day. Right. There's no leather seats out there.
Yes, exactly.
I can't even talk right now. Your face is completely red from how hard you were laughing.
The Coffee Club, weekdays 8:30 to 11 on AM 970 and 93.1 FM WDAY.
Attention all firearms collectors, firearms dealers, hunters, and other firearms enthusiasts. Dakota Territory Gun Collectors Association Gun Show will be in West Fargo, January 6th and 7th at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds in West Fargo. There will be over 350 tables full of guns, ammo, and accessories on display. Buy, sell, swap, trade. You don't want to miss this. The Dakota Territory Gun Collectors in West Fargo at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds.
Hi there, Teresa from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. I'd like to thank you, the hardworking men and women, for supporting our small business, because we couldn't do it without you. So thank you to each and every one of you for helping us have this memorable year. It's been our pleasure to help you. If you've never worn Red Wing boots, stop in and see what we're all about at 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Red Wing Shoes for ultimate durability.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
Well, no Dean today. He's still kicked off of the show. Maybe we'll bring him in next week. Maybe. We'll see what happens with that. But definitely, well, more than always, have myself, Justin Storm, and Ag Director Bridgette Readel here on the program, and welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. We'll have another check on the forecast coming up here because the winter weather advisories in the area are still in effect until 3 o'clock, and we're going to be watching for some snow to come into the area throughout the course of later today, throughout tonight, and into tomorrow. So we'll have a rundown on that forecast coming up in just a moment. But Bridgette, let's hit a couple ag topics here before we run out of time. Let's try and sneak a couple in here. We already touched on Hugo's, but why don't we talk about doctors and saving rural lives?
I was so hoping you'd ask about that one, because here's the story. This is going on in South Dakota. So having Amanda on today, and now it must be South Dakota Day here on WDAY, because here's my story.
Where's Jace?
Down in Central South, right? Jace Denman, our sports guy, is like, what? You're talking about me? So down in Central South Dakota near Kimball, that's where this story originates from. And there's a rancher down there. His name is Bill, and Bill raises bison. And a year ago in December, Bill had a 3-year-old bull calf, and he was out feeding. And, he'd raised this calf from birth. And so never assume that your livestock isn't going to suddenly have a little different change in attitude. And so this 3-year-old bull calf decided to tussle with Bill that day. Bill wound up with a fractured collarbone, 16 broken ribs, a partially torn scalp, a 4-inch deep hole near his groin, and a collapsed lung. He got away through the fence, away from the bison, but he didn't have his cell phone with him. So he got in a tractor and went to his brothers, who saw him, put him in a vehicle, called the ambulance. They are about 18 miles from an ambulance. In fact, 84% of rural counties in the U.S. are in an ambulance desert, where they're 25 minutes or more from an ambulance when needed. And so what happened in Bill's story is the ambulance met them on the road. When he got into the ambulance, there is now a telemed network within South Dakota that is being paid for by the South Dakota Department of Health. And telemed went to work while the volunteers in the ambulance went to work on Farmer Bill. What telehealth was able to do was monitor vitals, give suggestions to the situation. They called to the nearby hospital at Wessington Springs saying, you're going to need to put in a chest tube. We need an x-ray. Telehealth also was able to initiate an air ambulance out of Sioux Falls to go get Bill so he could go to emergency surgery back in Sioux Falls. All of this happened at a much greater speed and in critical moments that helped Bill in his not only diagnosis but recovery. And so the whole basis of this story is telemed is available now in ambulances in rural areas, but not all states have yet supported it. Oftentimes, the rural ambulance, who are dwindling in volunteers as well as financial dollars, would have to support that themselves in order to have that type of background. And so I want to raise the awareness of this availability. And if you are a local volunteer, and also especially if you live in a rural area and you have concerns, making sure that help gets to you as soon as possible, this would be something to support and look into. And if you have questions about this story or the links to it, please let me know. You can email me, ag@flagfamily.com, and I'd be happy to share, because Bill is alive and well today, due to the quick thinking of all of those folks on telehealth and his local volunteer fire department. So shout out to all of those folks and thank you for what you do. Big deal.
Oh, what a story. That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Also,
Bill
don't
sounds like
pet
he
the
was in
fluffy
some pretty
cows.
rough shape.
Bill was in rough shape. Don't pet the fluffy cows. Those are the big bison ones. It's not always so simple. That's for sure. So it was
No,
a
it's definitely not. And it always seems
situation.
like there's somebody, you see all the videos of people who go out to Yellowstone and they get so close to all the animals out there. And it's like, man, if you guys only knew what those creatures can do to you.
Bill could volunteer that now, and that was just off a 3-year-old. That wasn't, a full size critter yet, and he had raised this bull. I mean, it knew him. Things can still change very quickly, no doubt.
Well, we got one more ag topic to hit here before we do a rundown on the forecast. And why don't we do the forecast here real quick, and we'll end with that ag topic. How about that, Bridgette?
Sounds great to me.
All right. Well, what we're looking at for today, we got a little bit of a wintry mix from earlier this morning. Brought a lot of icy conditions to the roads out there. A lot of that has improved, but still seeing a winter weather advisory in effect for Cass County, points northward towards the Grand Forks Canadian border, as well as the Devil's Lake Basin, at least on the north and east side of the lake. That's in effect until 3 o'clock, although conditions have been improving. That is just where the ice is the worst at this time. A lot of the FM metro is just wet at this point road-wise, and we'll be looking at temperatures at 33 degrees, topping out about 34 over the next hour or so, and then starting to slowly fall back into the 20s throughout this evening and tonight. Wind isn't too bad. It's out of the south about 8 miles an hour. We'll see that turning out of the northeast this evening and tonight, around 10 to 20, with light snow coming into the area. That will last into Saturday morning, tapering off through the afternoon, with some drifting snow throughout the day due to northwest winds tomorrow, 10 to 25. We'll see around 1 to 3 inches of snow within the valley. Higher amounts will fall east of the river into Minnesota, upwards of 5+, and north central Minnesota, while central North Dakota sees trace amounts up to an inch into portions of the western valley. Temperatures tomorrow are stuck in the mid to low 20s, and then upper teens on Sunday, low 20s Monday and Tuesday. All 3 days, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, cloudy, light winds, before a slight chance for a little bit of light snow on Wednesday, followed by cold air starting to dump back down into North Dakota. And by back down, our first dose of Arctic air for the year. We'll be looking at single-digit highs on Thursdays, and probably sub-zero temperatures on Friday, at least in areas of North Dakota. Will not break above zero for high temperatures. A few of us will, and we would be that chance to see above zero temperatures here in Fargo and areas of Minnesota. It does look like there is another possible storm system that following weekend, so not this weekend, but next weekend, and behind that for the third week of January, another round of Arctic air that looks like it could stick around for a full week. So we got probably I'd say 7 to 14 day window of cold. It's not going to be cold the entire 14 days, but there will probably be a stretch of 5, maybe 7 days that are pretty cold.
But it's time. I mean, it is January, and we've gotten by really well. And maybe people don't want to hear me say that, but it's actually time to have a little sub-zero weather. That's what we do here. That's why we're North Dakota, not the Mediterranean. So it will get better. Let's not worry about that.
Yes. And I'll hold that for another. I'll hold my tongue on that. I was going to say something in regards to temperatures in December, but we'll just skip all of that. Why don't we just hit our last ag topic here, since we're running low on time, and that's the North Dakota Livestock Summit.
So that is coming up on January 30th right here in Fargo. If you are an ag producer, livestock, grain crop, anything like that, landowners, local leaders and industry stakeholders, this is an opportunity for you to join the North Dakota Livestock Association on their 5th annual Livestock Summit. This is an array of organization and trade show vendors who want to take the day to bring you knowledge and talk about livestock development within the state of North Dakota. That helps promote networking opportunities to see if we can find larger animal agriculture opportunities within our state. As we we have watched 2 crush plants coming online, one at Spiritwood already and Castleton soon to come, we know that as that oil leaves the state, we still have meal and other viable options for foodstuff for a number of livestock opportunities. And here's the chance for us to visit about that. There will be county and township board members, zoning staff, all there to answer your questions and help you find out more. And again, that's going to be January 30th right here in Fargo. So thanks for joining us. Have a fabulous weekend, everyone. And stay tuned because the Jay Thomas Show is next.